Shivang, you can start. People will be joining in one. You can start.
Okay, cool. So, hello everyone. My name is Shivang Trivedi. We will begin now. So, first of all, who am I? Uh, my whole name is Shivang Nitin Trivedi. I am 18 years old and I am a student. These are few of the places where you could find and contact me up if you have doubts related to bug bounty in our future. Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter by my alias name Cypher942. So some of my Hall of Fames that I have received in my journey yet are from Netflix, Dell, Mastercard, Netgear, Practo, and many more. So let's begin. What is a bug bounty? So to say a textbook definition, we can say that a bug bounty program is deal offered by website organizations and software developers by which an individual can receive recognition compensation for reporting bugs. In simple terms, you can get this as you are hacking a company, you are finding its vulnerabilities, you are trying to exploit it, and in return, you are not going to be going in jail or need to pay a fine, but you are going to receive money, you are getting to receive an recognition from those companies. So, who all can do this? What's the criteria? To be honest, anyone can do this, but to be precise, someone having a background from computer science, as in computer engineering or BSc IT, BSc CS, could have an edge while doing cybersecurity. One who has a keen interest in cybersecurity, one who is keen for its own privacy, one who loves his privacy and wants to secure it in any manner. If you like solving puzzles, then this is for you. If you like finding bugs and have a goal for cybersecurity in you, so this could be the stream that you could choose. You could get recognition from many companies. Some of them could be from Fortune 500, Fortune 100, and you could put it in your resume and you can apply for a cybersecurity job. And I'm pretty sure that you are gonna land at a beautiful company. Prerequisites, patience. Of course, yes, you need to have patience to control yourself, to calm yourself down. I would talk about it in a later part of this session. Ninja skills, obviously, no. Operating system and web browser are matter of argument, so you can select. Many people prefer that Kali Linux is more preferable than any other operating system for bug hunting and cybersecurity. But for me, I have used Windows, Kali, and Parrot securities as well. All can do its own edge, so you don't need to worry about any operating system or web browser. Uh, have you read these books? So, OS Testing Guide and Web Application Hacker's Handbook. These two are the most basic books available out there if you want to start with bug bounty. These are the most basic stuff that you need to read, you need to understand, you need to get thorough with. After reading these two books, you won't be getting much bugs, but your concepts need to be clear so that you can elaborate bugs when you see them. Highlights of bug bounty: a greater picture of bug bounty from an higher perspective. It's not limited to web applications and networks and products. It's more than that. IoT hacking, car hacking, software defined radio frequency hacking, and there are many other different types of hackings which can be covered in bug hunting. Must be in a responsible disclosure. uh, I would talk about that in a few minutes. What is a responsible disclosure? What can you get while doing bug bounty? Lot of money. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Gifts, t-shirts, stickers, badges, hall of fames. getting the t-shirts which are limited editions from those company only, which are made only 50 or in 100 in pieces, which could be given to the security researchers of those company, and getting one of them is pretty good deal. Test your luck. That's the most important part. If you are one of the first guys who have started with that program, you could find very easy bugs easily, and you could earn a lot of money from that, a lot of gifts from that. So where can you do bug hunting? What are the platforms where you can practice this stuff and where you can start with all of this? There's a few of the most reputed companies: HackerOne, Integrity, Bugcrowd, and Synac. So you can register on any of these platforms if you are a beginner and and are starting right now. So Bugcrowd would be the most prominent choice for you. First things to do when you start with bug hunting, or when you are reading, when you are going for a scope in page, so that is reading its in scope items. The scope you need to be clear with so that you do not find vulnerabilities which are out of scope, so you don't waste your time, you don't lose your effort. Reading the scope is important also because getting to know which all things are limited to and how big or how small the scope is, you could understand that you could hunt on it or not. Reconnaissance for the whole target is most important. Reconnaissance could be the most crucial stage for few of the bug hunters, and have earned thousands of dollars just by doing reconnaissance and nothing else. No exploitations, no vulnerability analysis, only reconnaissance, and you can get $1,000 or $2,000 just like that. The reason to do reconnaissance is it's that it's like finding all information over the target, finding everything that your target has in scope, each and every port, each and every network link, each and every backend services, everything should be on written, and you can analyze that and you can find something cool. CMS default pages. uh, every website has its own default pages, paths, and plugins. Robots.txt, PHP info.php, or any other page like that. Sometimes you can get some credentials over there or any other thing from those pages, and it could be pretty cool. Enumerate subdomains and more subdomains. So when there's a target having a star and something facebook.com, you need to find subdomains and subdomains and subdomains. For big targets, for big companies like Facebook, Twitter, they have hundreds of subdomains available on their network. So the scopes get widen out and you could find something good easily. Backend services by Vapalizer. Vapalizer is a tool from Mozilla Firefox plugins. It's developed by a security researcher, and you could use it as a plugin on your Firefox. If you apply it on your browser, then you could see the backend services running of the website on the top of your page, and then identifying every other thing, every other backend page, and seeing and finding out the version or something like that could be done pretty easily. Understand the logic and logics of any functionality present in program. Sometimes file upload is also available to upload your profile pic, to upload your resume, to upload a text file. So this is one part of the one type of a functionality that you could exploit it. Another part of functionality could be login, logout, password changing, and many other stuffs like posting a request, requesting a message, or any other thing that's a functionality present in program. You need to know that. As soon as you know the functionalities, you could look out for some already made it exploitations for that, or you could create your own exploitation of that functionality, and that could be pretty good. Please, a request: don't use a scanner. A scanner gives you 99% of false positive each and every time. If you request those, there are chances that your report may get not applicable or a spam, and you could reduce your points, reduce the reputations of that platform, and leading to that, the future scenario would be you won't be receiving private invites. Yeah, some companies host a private invite program that's given only to a few researchers who are good on their platform. So if your reputation is pretty good, then you can get private invites too. But if you use scanners, your reputation would go down and down, and that would result in a great loss, and you won't be able to do good things in bug bounty. Widely used tools. Some of these are the most famous tools used by every other researcher. These are the most important ones, and you need to use it in day-to-day life to get used to this. Firefox add-ons, web developer, temper data. Temper data is pretty good, and it could help you to find XSS, SQL injection, and other types of vulnerabilities. Webl, as I told you, Foxy proxy can be used to integrate your proxy of Burpsuit to this user agent switcher. Sometimes switching the agent, that is writing out that you are using that website from your laptop, an agent switcher can change the user agent to a mobile agent. That could also lead to some of the vulnerabilities that are pretty critical from a firewall picture. Live HTTP headers, clickjacking defense, and other many uh, use tools. Web proxies such as Burpsuit, Fiddler, OWASP-Zap, and many other. Burpsuit is the most important tool that you could use while doing bug bounty. It's a whole package consisting of a scanner too, but the most preferable thing is you don't use a scanner. It also has a requester, sequencer, decoder, comparer, repost, request, and many other things that you could use. It has many more inmate plugins. You could use that to get many other things like IDOs or XSS automated. And what to do, what kind of bugs are in scope is the most important when you are looking out at a target. Sometimes CSRF is made out of scope, information leakage is made out of scope, and that the scope of the program reduces. Sometimes a guy like me who has expertise in information leakage and finding out default credentials from the website, this program is not for me if the information leakage is out of scope. So wasting my time over there would not be efficient, right? So you need to see what all things are in scope and out of scope. Reward for qualifying a bug can range from $100 to $20,000 or more. Yeah, you heard it right. It's $20,000. So when you are going on finding something most critical that can hit a company with its major business loss, so that's where you can get as high amount as 20,000 to $40,000 as well. If you go on hackerone.com and go out on hacktivity page, you could see the reports that are made by previous researchers in few days or few months back. You could go there and see the reward that they have received. Few of those rewards consist of 20,000 to $30,000 as well, publicly available on a public program and not a private program. So you can receive this big amount from a public program too. So you don't need to just wait for the private invites or hype out for the private invite. So how to do bug hunting? It is said that if I have 8 hours to chop down a tree, I would spend 6 hours sharpening my axe. So what does this relate with bug hunting? If you are given a target to do bug hunting, then you don't need to just go and start exploiting it. For the first few hours or first few days, you need to just go and reconnaissance it. You need to find each and every subdomain, each and every service, each and every plugin that has been used, each and every functionality that has been made, call in or call out in the program. And this could result in that you could know the target very well now after a few days. Although some of you may consider that this is a waste of time and you don't need to do this, but believe me, this could help you out a lot if you want to find remote code executions or indirect object reference IDORs or something like that. How to do that? Bug hunting is not only about doing something like finding a vulnerability. It's about exploring different types of weaknesses in a program, in a website, in an Android application, in an IoT, or something like that. And experimentation is the most fun part in bug hunting. It requires 30% of programming knowledge and 70% logical out of the box thinking. To focus on programming knowledge, you don't require that much amount of programming knowledge. But if you are having a programming knowledge, then you could understand the backend services more easily. You could read scripts, the JavaScript endpoints easily, and you could find something or the other vulnerable in code and can exploit the same on the target. Or you can automate your daily tasks and get rid of those boring stuff that you need to do on start of every target. And 70% logical out of the box thinking. So bug hunting is not something that has been discovered last year, sorry. It has been discovered since many years, and now most of the people have left this field because they can't think out of the box. So the common vulnerabilities, the basic SPF phishing or something like that, has already been fixed by the researchers that have hunted that target 5 years back. So you need to think out of the box and think something interesting so that you could earn more, you could get on the target easily. Try each and every combination to exploit bugs. Uh, there are many ways to get cross-site scripting. There are many different ways to get SQL injection, path transversal. So you need to be frequent with that. That how are different combinations working on this target. If you try one type of exercise and it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that that website couldn't be vulnerable to exercise. You just need to try different and different combinations as soon as you feel that it's vulnerable to exercise. Dig deeper into the target. Find each and every vulnerability available out there, read it, and now when you get on a target, find each and every functionality that's available, find each and every user input and available, find each and every place where .js file is the extension, that is the endpoints of a URL, and you could analyze that and you could do something cool over there. Logical bugs are the place where you could find most of the critical bugs. Most bugs that have been getting awards or like best bug or 20,000 payouts are logical bugs. Those are logical vulnerabilities, that how you could exploit a vulnerability easily in a logical manner. Increase the chances for duplicates in logical vulnerability gets very low, as it's your thinking, it's your after the box thinking when you are dealing with a logical bug. How to recon at max? Find all subdomains, the most important part. Find backend services, another one of the most important parts that you could do while reconning. Find endpoints .js file .aspx. The most important one over here is find at GitHub. Most of the people don't do this while doing the recon, and this could lead to a great loss. I would show you an example later on, that how using a GitHub is very important and how could you use it at your max. Find stuff by Google Doc. Google Docking also sometimes helps you to get a SQL injection or a cross-site scripting. Find default credentials, API keys of the target. API keys sometimes may or may not be vulnerable to something, but having that is pretty good edge, as you know that you have a key that could be implemented somewhere. So now you have a key at your hand, and whenever you see something when you need a key, you could try that out, and if you succeed, that could catch you out to receive an admin access or privilege escalation sometimes too. Few of the most common techniques to bypass security measures: brute forcing, IP address blocking, or user agent based blocking. Some of the websites do this to avoid researchers getting the target easily. Account logged yet account accessible. This is a vulnerability that you could find over here. Cross-site request forgery, CSRF, token missing, token not validated, token not random, as in every new user gets a token with a +1 algorithm or +2 algorithm. That's not secure. UI redressing, clickjacking, drag and drop. This is discovered by Ahmed Nafis. You could Google that out and you could read its proof of concept and documentations. Content extraction depends in the modern browser, deprecated in the modern browsers, and if you are using Internet Explorer or Microsoft Explorer, then this you could do this. Otherwise, it's not possible out of the latest versions of Firefox or Chrome. So, what are the common vulnerabilities that could reward you greatly? IDOR, indirect object reference. To explain IDOR in a simple terms, consider two accounts, account A and account B. So, if there's a method, if there's a token that could make an account 1 change details of account 2, like password change of account 2, or username email id of account 2, or password of account 2, or address of account 2 from account 1 itself. So that could lead to IDOR. This is one of the logical vulnerabilities that you could find out on a target. XSS, that means cross-site scripting. One of the most common vulnerabilities, but still one of the most hardest one to get. SQL injection, getting the data from the backend of the server to see by SQL map or something like that, uh, is known as SQL injection, SSRF. XXE, file upload vulnerability. XXE is also known as file upload vulnerability 2. When you upload a file that is being passed by the backend reads the file. So if you inject a malicious content, a particular script on the backend on the text file or the file that you are uploading, the backend would scan that file and would receive that malicious file. It would not detect if it's malicious or not and reads it out. So in return, you could get a shell or something like that from those vulnerabilities. Open redirect, most common vulnerability, one of the most easiest one to find if you master it out. Account takeover, the most important one vulnerability out there, account takeover. So if any possible chance that you are a user of the product and if you could access the account of admin and change everything over there, make yourself as an admin too or something like that, then account takeover is something that could land you a pretty good Hall of Fame or a great deal. Best one, remote code execution, RCE. One of the most hardest one to find, one of the most complex bug out there. It's pretty hard to find RCEs nowadays, but if you know your concepts, then you could chain it with other bugs like XSS chained with SSRF, server side request forgery. It could lead you to RCE sometimes. So that's something you need to think. That is what is known as out of the box thinking. Few reports for the case study that was been requested by many of the participants. Uh, Read more and more reports. It enhances your views on where to look for vulnerabilities, where to exploit it, and how can you exploit it in different manners. So, HackerOne activity, blogs, reports that have been published on forums, and try to read as many reports as you can before starting out with bug hunting. So, few of the case study. Let's start with XSS cross-site scripting. So, yeah, the summary of this example is that stored XSS is submitted on a target and anyone will check the report the XSS will trigger. Stored XSS is an XSS that has been given by the user and has been stored on the server. So as soon as a user other than the one who has put in the XSS over there, as in a report triager or an admin views that report, the XSS would trigger out. Okay, so what was the case over here? As soon as you go on app.xyz.com and reports custom, click a new network report. You are generating a new network report over here to show it to your manager or your boss. On the name, enter this payload. This is a payload of cross-site scripting. Document.domain. So if you've been knowing basic terminologies of web scripting, so you could understand this by JavaScript. It is a JavaScript payload. Image shows on error alert document.domain. So it would pop up an alert writing down the domain present on the URL header. So you could change it to document.cookies or something other like that, and you could escalate the level sometime too. Click on run and save. The XSS will trigger out when it is been read by the manager or your boss. Tested on Firefox and Chrome. This writing this is most important on your report, as this would help the trier to figure out that he can try this out on Firefox or Chrome. If the trier is using a MacBook Pro and he tries this out on Safari, may or may not be XSS triggering. So his report may get not applicable. So this is pretty important point to mention out while you are writing your report, that what were your system specifications. The attacker can steal data from whoever can check the report is the impact. Next example, SQL injection. So this is a typical SQL injection, one of the most smallest type of SQL injection out there, but highest rewarding. This report itself has received a bounty of $5,000. So it is a blind SQL injection. The database appears to be MySQL file. So if you are running Webalizer on the Firefox plugin, then you could see what all services appear. So database used over here is MySQL file. POC, proof of concept. When you are sending a request of GET on the server, the host is xyz.com, and when you go to this directory, you can see the doc ID page over here. So if you set up your SQL injection payload, that is over here, and select sleep 1. So whenever you write sleep 1, it would delay for 5 seconds, right? As soon as I increase it by the value in the bracket, the delay would increase and increase. So I retrieved the count of database 3. No other information was accessed such as table or data. Apparently, SQL statement is executing 5 times on the database side because response time always 5 times bigger than the supplied sleep value. So the reason why it only received $5,000 and not a great amount like 15 or $20,000 was that he wasn't able to actually get the data from the tables or something like that. It was just delaying the server. It was just showing that the server is responding and executing the file 5 times and then showing it. So this could lead to a SQL injection attack where you could inject a great number where the database gets overloaded, and it could result in something bigger, server unavailable to each and every person out over there. No one would be accessing it as the data is being processed by the database 5 times more than the payload that you have sent. XXC reports, these reports are quite a big, and I can the case study of the whole report, it's pretty hard to explain each and everything in XXC reports, but I have mentioned few of the report links over there, and I would also send out the report links to Rupesh Mittal, and he would say share it in your group. Part transversal. To give you a gist of this vulnerability, you could understand it as while surfing from PHP ID is equal to 1, if I change the data from 1 to slash ext etc slash password, and if I can access the data of every password present on the server, that is something known as path transversal. Path transversal can sometimes also lead you to open redirect or server side data or SQL injections also. So yeah, RC, this is one of my favorite vulnerabilities. This report itself marked written by me. So when I was doing my recon, I found a FTP client on XXYYZZ domain. I cannot disclose the target due to the agreement, but this was the name, considering the normal name XXYYZZ domain. I tried to log in via default credentials. Default credentials were just a guess that may or may not work. Username anonymous, password anonymous. Sometimes username could be admin and password could be password or admin, and you can log in. Here, the username and password were anonymous, and boom, I'm able to log in on the FTP client, see the data available on that server, upload my very own data, download the data available on the server. So steps to reproduce: open FileZilla client, type update one dot x6yz.com and host. So as you can see over here, I found out a subdomain of the main domain, and this was an FTP client, right? So I was able to access it via FileZilla, and typing out the username and password anonymous, hit enter, and boom, you log in. And here's is the proof of concept that I had given it to them. Impact, as I mentioned, that using default credentials, we are able to log in into FTP client. So attacker could upload their files, which lead to a potential RC. As of now, I won't upload any malicious file as we are not able to directly access this FTP using browser. So an attacker could read internal files and do much more things than that. Account takeover. Okay. The great logical vulnerability, you can consider this. You can find it pretty easily. It's just your out of the box thinking that you need to use. Open any browser. Uh, Now log in and make the account on store.xxxyzz.com. Make a successful login over there. As soon as login, open the URL. At the end of the URL, there is a parameter named last name. I would I would be that you it would be that you made while sign up. Now I change it to evil.css and reload the website with no changes. Copy the final URL with last name evil.css parameter and paste it into another browser. Considering that if you don't have another browser, use Chrome's incognito mode. You could get access to that account, and I tried to access the address page and change it to some other address. So consider the scenario: account one and account two. If you made a successful login on account one and take the URL, change the last parameter to evil.css and send it to account two, you could see the data of account one over account two. So the victim's data could be analyzed by the attacker account from account two, and he could change it. That's what I did over here. When I opened the original Firefox and saw that the address directory is changed over here too, as I have changed it in the incognito mode. So yeah, the last parameter is vulnerable out over here for account takeover. Open redirect, one of the most easiest vulnerabilities you can find out over here. So it's simple. While reconnaissance found out a subdomain Durbuster, and I found out this link in my burp suit spider request. Over here, target resource had some URL written, but if I change it to http evil.com, it would redirect you to https://evil.com. Simple and easy open redirect. Information leakage. One of my specialties is information leakage. The information exposure is intentional or unintentional disclosure of information steps. You could find this vulnerability in JavaScript endpoints, ASPX endpoints, or something like that. Here, I found it on GitHub. As I told you that you need to do recon on GitHub as well. So when I was going out through GitHub, found an employee of that target company, read its repositories and found out an SQL file. While going through that SQL file, I found the keyword Dell and I was able to get the default credentials and passwords of the employees on that organization. So all the guys who were using that Dell PCs were were open for this vulnerability. So reference material, you can read books. These are three of the most famous books out over there for this: Web Application Hackers Handbook, Tangled Web, and Hackers Playbook 3. Write-ups, blogs, activity on HackerOne. These are the most important parts that you could use for your reference. You could find great vulnerabilities by just reading write-ups and blogs, and you could create an out-of-the-box thinking by that. And while approaching a target, be having a great thinking out of the box. So yeah. Okay, so while ending, I would just only like to say that when you are starting with bug bounty, don't feel bad on getting duplicates or out of the scope. It's a long path and it's a tough one too. So be strong and calm and use Twitter InfoSec. I would highly recommend you to use your Twitter InfoSec community to its max. It's always available. Each and everyone is there to help out one another on various types of doubts and queries asked by a newbie or even by a pro person out there. So yes.
Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, you can put in chat so that one can address them with you for 5 to 10 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Anyone has any questions? Please put in public, everyone, so that I can answer them. Shivang, someone is asking how to start.
Okay, the first step for you could be reading few books, reading few write-ups, and just understanding the workflow, the algorithm of the bug bounty. So as soon as you can understand that, go and pick up a target, try to explore it out, play with it for a while, and understand it. What are the the vulnerabilities which you read and tried out over here and weren't possible for you to execute it over here? So the next time your mind would be clear on how to go further, how to approach a target in more powerful manner. So yeah, yeah, sure. I would be sending out few links to Rupesh Mittal, and he would share it in your group. One of the great write-ups out there. The link to various types of proof of concepts on all the types of vulnerabilities, common vulnerabilities out there. So
Yeah.
don't worry about that. Yeah.
So if you are watching in the subscribers or the viewers of YouTube, so I'll be writing that in the description so that you
Yeah.
can check out later once again. Yeah. Because this is hosted on YouTube also, so people are watching from YouTube also.
Yeah, right.
Anyone else has any questions? Nikhil, Rashi, Shashi, Shikhar, Chakri, Sushil, Aman, and Bhavesh. Harsh is also there. So, okay, if you have no question, then we'll wind it up. Can you show any reports? Shivang, will you be able to open any report? Or basically, like they want to know how to read a report. So, because They don't know how to
Okay,
retrieve.
just a second. Okay, this is my Backrod profile. You can see over here. And in the submission section, I have made a few reports. This is the report that I made to Netgear, and a few days ago it has been resolved now, so I think I can disclose it. Uh, it's the one that of the FTP domain. It's a potential RCE, and this is the link that I would be sharing out with you all. It's a step by step for bug bounty. You could get each and everything. Step one, step two, what you can do. Step three, and at the end, there are write ups for most of the vulnerabilities out there. So yes, you could study. There are many reports. If you read each of these, then it would be great beneficial to you. These are tools, most important tools out there that you need to use on regular basis, such as Google Docker, the Buster, and DNS scan, NocPy, and different. Yeah,
Yeah. So okay, so that's pretty good. So some Rashi are asking like, can you please show a practical session on this? I don't know whether that would be because this is like on public, and I don't.
yeah.
That's a little bit.
It's going on YouTube too, so I don't like that. Showing some target exploiting its vulnerabilities openly is not something you should do.
Do yeah.
It, it's not at all recommended. The company won't give you anything, they won't give you rewards for finding that vulnerability. Instead, they could put on a legal query on you too. So it's highly recommended. Don't publicly show your vulnerabilities out there if it's unresolved yet, if you report the vulnerability. And for practical sessions, if you want to know how you could exploit few of the vulnerabilities, you could use labs such as DVWA or OSPLAB, and you could practice out those common vulnerabilities out there, and you could get your hands on those there.
Yeah. So actually, I think in the last session where he was Manish has showed that, right? So how we used DVWA, some practicals on DVWA. So
Yeah.
let's go through that. Like our YouTube
those are
channel
the
has,
most those are the
yeah.
most basic steps that you could do, and as soon as you get familiarized with that, the basic XSS exploit, you could
Mm.
encode it in various other manners. You could change its algorithm to something else, and you could use it on a live target, and you could get an XSS.
Yeah. So like Nikhil is asking, can we summarize this a little bit? So how to start and all, whatever you have said, can we summarize it in a
Okay.
short 1 or 2 minute?
Yeah, sure. For the first thing, if you are a total beginner, read few books and read the write-ups. That's highly recommended. Second, go and pick up a target from HackerOne, Bugcrowd, Integrity somewhere, and just try to explore it, play with it. You won't be finding something that's okay, that's all right. Just try to explore it, try to have fun with it, try to change each and every parameters, play with it. Don't look it as it's your target and you need to find something or else. No, just play with it, just be calm, try to understand it, and let and hope for the best that you could find something. My personal experience, I have read books and write-ups, and for the first 6 months I had no reports available that I made and was accepted, not even a duplicate. All of those were in it. So you don't need to be discouraged by that. That's a part of learning, and you need to go on. Play with your targets. That's the most important thing that I could suggest you. Okay, Nikhil, which vulnerability are you talking that has no real-time security? I mean,
See, in DVWA, you have 3 to 4 levels, I guess. Like,
yeah.
So it depends
That's
on that.
for practicing out your
Yeah.
vulnerabilities. Those are not real vulnerabilities. That's the basic steps. You can't run 100-meter race if you don't know how to walk fast, right? So you need to know DVWA lab because it would familiarize you with the common environment that you could find on a website. It's a general DVWA lab is a generalized website only. You are trying to run it on a local host. So yeah, you could consider it as your target and could try various types of vulnerability out there and you find there. So those are your first baby steps that you could use, and using those steps you could find something on the real target, real environment.
Yeah. So any else? Anyone has any more questions? Shivang, I have a question. So,
Yeah.
what's your experience till now with bug bounty? How is it going?
uh
So, do you
to,
write any scripts for automation like that?
yeah, I
So
do
how do you
write.
write them? How do you write
uh
them?
Considering that you need to find a you need to find all your subdomains, and then in all of those subdomains you need to find all of the endpoints that .js or .astx. Okay, that could be a pretty tedious task to go on each and every subdomain, try Durbuster or try to spider it out.
Hmm. So,
So
so how do you write your scripts? So people like a lot of people ask. So how should I learn writing scripting?
to know
So
that you
should
need
I
to
go
know
with Bash or
yeah,
Python? What?
Bash is the most preferable language out there for this kind of stuff. Python could be used when you try to do brute force logic or try to crack a hash. That's where I use Python most of the times.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, Bash could help you a lot while automating your task, while automating any of your tedious stuff. Like while going through a website, I don't like to go into its JS endpoints usually and find out for API credentials each and every time. There are hundreds of JS files in a particular website. So I automate those tasks, take all those JS file, put it in a TXT file, and pass it through my tool. So my tool goes requests on that website on the endpoint and would search the whole page for API credential with keywords like keys, password, username, or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like Shivang, also people ask me like that. So what motivated you? Because see, you're a 18 age boy now, and you are doing this from 2 years since. So I think almost at age of 16 you started this.
Yeah.
So
Right.
at that time, people are there just completing the 10th or 11th, something like that. So what gave you the motivation? How did you start? Like who was your first person like seeing like yeah he's
Okay.
doing great, so let's do like that if it's okay
Uh,
to say in public.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. While when in 10th or 11th, I suppose, when I was surfing out on Instagram, that's what people do. Found out few of the people who were earning like thousands of dollars just by reporting few security issues. I found that pretty amusing to me. So I just went out and started what is it, how to earn this much amount of money is, and I was going to be 18 in a year or two, so having a side income or pocket money would do great to me, right?
Hmm.
That's what everyone thinks when you are 18. So I found out on Instagram a profile of a guy named, I would show you.
Is it Pratik?
Yeah, that's my
Okay.
bro. Yeah, so if anyone over here also has doubts, you could just go to him and ask him freely. He helped me from each and every step, and he is still helping me out with each and every steps where I have doubts, where I lack, where someone I need to help me out with when I'm feeling demotivated. Last month's record, I've submitted 48 vulnerabilities, out
Oh,
of which 32 were duplicate.
oh my God.
Yeah, so few of the people would just get frustrated, get irritated. Few of my friends left the bug bounty just because they were getting duplicates. So my only golden advice to everyone out here is that don't feel discouraged when you get duplicates. It's a path. that would that you can see it in a positive manner, that you know this vulnerability, you can exploit it in a target, just not here, just somewhere else. This target wasn't meant for that vulnerability. Some other target would be having that vulnerability yet. So you need to try it out there.
Okay. Shivang, so one more last question, and we'll wind up with this.
Yeah.
So yeah, the books which we share, right? So they are actually pretty big books, so around 800 pages and 1,000 pages books.
Yeah.
So how do you figure out reading them? Because that's very long and it's very hard to read such books. So how do you make out reading such
Okay.
books?
While using that, when you open a book, just read the first few parts, the basic parts, and then pick up a vulnerability that you think that you could do out. As in, my first vulnerability that I started with was open redirect. It's pretty
Okay.
easy, right?
Hmm.
So, read that section of the book right now only. Don't
Okay.
read the further part. Don't read the earlier part. Just read that part now. Read each and every report that you can find on Open Redirect, uh, by Medium or by Activity or HackerOne or any other place. Read
Okay.
as many reports on that particular vulnerability only as of now. Try to exploit it on a target now. Try it on DVWA lab. Try it on OS lab. You get your mind clear with a particular vulnerability for once and for all.
Hmm.
Mastering, I mean, getting good at a particular vulnerability like open redirected accesses would take hardly 2 to 4 days.
Hmm.
Those are pretty clear vulnerabilities. You don't need to code anything like you need to do in SSRFs or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So you could wind up those vulnerabilities in your starting period, in a month or two, and then look out for those vulnerabilities only. I am still not pretty clear with SSRFs, to be honest. I haven't found one CSRF yet in my life. I have found each and every vulnerability out there. Just SSRF is the one that's missing.
Okay. Hope you find it soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shivang, for spending time with us. It's like more than 1 hour you have spent with us. Thank you so much for giving
Yeah.
so much inputs. Hope this is helpful to a lot of people, and you can reach out to him anytime. He's on Instagram and a lot of places. So thank you
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.